Enjoy the convenience of 7 days a week banking and extended hours with Cube from First Arkansas Bank and Trust. Member FDIC. It's time for From the Short Grass with Trey Schaap, a golf podcast for those who love golf, struggle with golf, and just like to enjoy the outdoors and fellowship with friends, all while chasing a ball around trying to put it in a 4 1/4 inch diameter hole. From the Short Grass is brought to you by Stevens Incorporated, an independent financial services firm with the freedom to focus on what matters most. Blackman Auctions. For over 80 years, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. We partner with you to deliver high-yield results by managing, developing, and investing in top-quality hospitality assets. And now, from the Short Grass, here is your host, Trey Schaap.
Welcome to another edition of From the Short Grass. I am your host, Trey Schaap. The greatest week in golf is here, the Masters Tournament 2022. And Tiger Woods, and this being the silver anniversary of Tiger Woods winning the Masters 25 years ago for the first time, at the age of 21. He won by 12 shots, shooting 18 under par for the tournament. He was 4 over after his opening 9 holes and played the final 63 holes at minus 22. He averaged a birdie every 2.86 holes that he played after the 40 on the front. He won the USGA Junior Am in 1991, 92, and 93. He won the USAM in 94, 95, and 96. His win at Augusta is historic, and if he would not have turned pro, he would have dusted the field as a 21-year-old amateur. Will he win this week? That is still yet to be determined. Coming up on this edition of From the Short Grass, I sit down with former Little Rock Trojan head basketball coach Steve Shields. He's a good golfer, and he's got some great stories to tell. Coming up after the break.
This is Thomas Blackman of Blackman Auctions. Trey asked me to sponsor a show for another few months. Even though I don't like golf, I do like his show. I have no idea how he gets the awesome variety of guests on his show, but it is entertaining and informative even for a horrible golfer like myself. I'm learning a lot about the game and about the passion for playing. So much so, I've started using my country club for more than Sunday brunch. Trey makes golf interesting. I make auctions interesting. For auctions, listen to me. For golf, listen to Trey. Since 1938, better auctions are Blackman Auctions.
With all the decisions you need to make about what to do in El Dorado, finding a place to stay is an easy one. The Haywood is uniquely positioned to make your stay one to treasure. Located in the historic Union Square district of El Dorado, the Haywood offers luxurious accommodations that feature contemporary, colorful rooms with high-quality bedding, comfortable baths with walk-in showers, and a spacious workspace with stylish plantation shutters that are unique additions to the stunning decor in a non-smoking environment. Make the Haywood your home away from home the next time you visit El Dorado.
Welcome back to this edition of From the Short Grass. Blackman Auctions, one of our great sponsors of From the Short Grass, been with us since the very beginning. Since 1938, better auctions have always been Blackman Auctions. If you need to find a contractor's auction, go to their website, blackmanauctions.com, to find their next contractor's auction that you can attend. On the tee, Steve Shields. Steve Shields. I still call you Coach. Thanks for joining me on From the Short Grass. And you're in a new role away from the basketball court. You're over in North Little Rock Parks and Recreation Department. You loving life?
I really am, Trey, and it's great to be with you, man. I appreciate you having me on. And I'm Director of Parks and Rec for the city of North Little Rock, and this is a position that Mayor Terry Hartwick was in before he won the election to become mayor here, and he had reached out to me. I'll never forget, we were on the way to Texas A&M. I was coaching at Tarleton, and he had won the runoff election here, and he asked if I'd have interest in it, and I said absolutely I would. And so long story short, I'm back here and been here for a year and 3 months now, going on 4, and it's been a learning experience. But we've got 247 employees. We've got 5 recreation centers. We've got 35 parks, golf at Burns Park. We've got disc golf. We've got softball, soccer, baseball fields. So I'm loving it.
I was going to say the fact that Burns Park is it the largest park?
It's in the top 5. It used to be the largest municipal park in the country, and then they started including lakes and bodies of water, and so now it's
still in the top 5.
It is.
It's got a great golf course over there.
It really does, Trey. I mean, the championship course, Steve Ralston's been our pro forever out there and does a wonderful job. And Mayor Hartwick being a huge golfer and loving golf and everything that has happened out there in the last 5 years, we put a lot of money from a city standpoint in out there. Mayor Smith was a big golfer and still is and plays out there, Mayor Hartwick as well.
And you like to play all the time as much as you can, I would assume.
I do. I enjoy playing and play a little bit more now than I did when I was coaching and growing up around the game of golf. My dad was a golf pro and a golf coach for a number of years, and so it's a wonderful game, as we all know.
You can get out there. You don't have to pay a green fee or a cart fee when you go out there, though, because you're the big boss, right?
They probably charge me double. Steve.
Knowing Ralston? Yes.
Right.
Yes. He's going to charge you double. When did you first pick up a club? You talked about your dad being a golf pro.
Yeah, I remember when I was 3-4 years old, my dad cut clubs off for me and my 3 brothers. As a matter of fact, I remember my brother, who's a year younger than me, Mike, he's a head football coach at McGregor High School down in Texas. And I remember at some point we were 3, 4, 5 years old, and I accidentally hit him over the head with my club that was broken off, and he had to go to the hospital and get stitches and everything. He's never let me forget that,
I would assume,
by the way. But we grew up around the game and would have cut-off clubs, and I went to a small high school, Riker High School in Waco, and we played football, basketball, baseball, and didn't have a golf team, but I always played golf in the summer and loved the game, and that grew up around it for a long time. My dad was, before we moved to Waco, he was the head pro at Preston Trail Country Club, the all-men's club there.
Exclusive club in Dallas.
Yes, in early to late 70s, and me and my 3 brothers, with you having to be 21 years old to go out there, we could not go out there except during the Byron Nelson tournament when it was played out there, and we'd get to hand out range balls to the different pros and stuff when they came by.
That was neat.
Oh, it was so cool.
Who were some of the pros that you handed golf balls to on the range?
I got a real good story for you. Lee Trevino was one.
The Merrimacs.
And me being a smart aleck at the time, I'm handing out, and we would always try to get one of their balls and have them sign it, one of their golf balls, and then have them sign it. And he looked down at me and said, "Young man, what's your name?" Because I had asked him for a signed ball. And I said, "Lee Trevino." Being smart, and he looked back at me, "You're not Lee Trevino, I'm Lee Trevino." One of those deals. I'm 6, 8 years old, but Jack Nicklaus, Johnny Miller, Trevino, Gary Player, all those guys come through there.
Wow.
And but my dad ended up moving us to Waco when he took the head pro job at Ridgewood Country Club. Because we couldn't be there on the weekends, we couldn't be there on holidays. You know how golf pros work, mostly 7 days a week. And
you wouldn't see your dad unless he moved.
That's right. So we got to go there, and it was a positive for us. We were able to be around him a little bit more, and then he ended up being the Baylor golf coach. He took the job for little or nothing back then. They didn't pay golf coaches much money at all. But it enabled us, me and my 3 brothers, to be able to go to school free at Baylor. And he had worked that out in his contract. And, of course, one of my brothers went to play football and then came back, got his MBA from there. A couple of them went straight from high school. And I bounced around and then found my way back there at Baylor my junior year.
Before we get too far away from your father, he actually taught a president how to play, or gave him a lesson, I should say, on the range one day.
He did. President Gerald Ford And I remember my dad telling me the story. This is sometime in the 70s, and he was coming in and going to play, and the Secret Service came out there and went through all the golf carts, opening up, looking at batteries. I remember my dad telling me the story with it, and I've got a picture of him giving President Ford a lesson.
Looks like he's making sure he has his hands set.
Yeah, he's a big handsy teacher. That's what he was.
You played collegiate golf at Baylor. A very good golfer as well.
I did. I played. I went to Oklahoma City University out of high school.
Right.
Abe Lemons had gotten fired at Texas and got the job laid up there, and I was there for my freshman year, and then I bounced back to junior college and played basketball for a year there at McLennan. And my dad had tried to get me to come to Baylor out of high school, and I was hard-headed, didn't want to do it and stuff. But
wanted to get away from home, didn't you?
That's right. That's right, like most 18-year-old kids. But I ended up switching over and played my played 3 years, from 85 to 88 at Baylor. And ironically, we played the 86 Southwest Conference tournament at Pleasant Valley.
Right.
And I remember when we all came up to that, how cool it was, because Arkansas hosted and televised it, and they had TV. I don't remember what it was on, but it was on, a smaller channel or something.
Right.
And we had never had anything like that.
What was John Daly?
Daly was there. Yep, Daly was.
It had to have been a Pappas brother.
Dean Pappas.
Dean
was
Pappas.
There. I'm trying to think. Was Chris Little there at the time?
Might have been.
I think Chris was there, but I mean,
probably a little before David White.
I think so. But I mean, that time, you look at who was at Texas. Bob Estes was at Texas. Charles Cootie was at Texas. I mean, Southwest Conference was a really good,
It was stacked.
good league. And as a matter of fact, I think TCU won the Southwest Conference tournament that year, because if I'm not mistaken, that's when Loy may have been at Arkansas, and Steve left to go to Arizona State, and Woodley got the Arkansas job from TCU shortly after that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you remember about that tournament at Pleasant Valley?
Oh, just the course was phenomenal. I remember, as I mentioned earlier, about it being on TV,
Yeah.
And the last thing, I remember they took number 16, and it was into a wind, and they lined the right side of the driving range out there, OB, and they just had white stakes down it. So,
boy.
And they had us back there.
Because that's your miss on that hole. And just blow it over into the driving range and keep it out of the pond.
That's right. But that made that, I remember 16, 17, and 18.
Around the lake.
Yep.
I say keep it out of the pond. Keep it out of the lake. They call it a lake out there at Pleasant Valley. I don't want to get the members upset with us.
Yeah, that's right.
You're a golfer at Baylor, but you end up becoming a basketball coach. How did that work?
Trey, I always knew I wanted to coach basketball, or coach football, basketball. I played basketball in college, played for a really good junior college coach, Ken DeWeese, at McLennan, and he had been an assistant with Haskins for 16, 17 years at UTEP, Texas, El Paso. And I was fortunate to be able to go back and coach at my high school there in Waco my first 2 years out of college. And then Coach DeWeese had an assistant job that came open at McLennan, and he asked if I would have interest in coming there. And I went with him for 3 years. We had 3 really good years, and I got to go to Pensacola Junior College with Bob Marlin, who's now the head coach at Louisiana Lafayette, and we had a good year there.
Right there by the Pensacola airport.
That's right. That's exactly right.
I mean, you leave the airport, and then, boom, there's the junior college.
That's the campus right there.
Yeah. Wow.
But was there, and then went to Kilgore Junior College, and then went back to McLennan as a head coach for 4 years. And then I was fortunate when Porter Moser got the job here, was able to come with him.
At Little Rock. Yeah, boy, coaches travel. They move around, don't they?
Yeah, they do. And that's part of the business. You know it going in, but if you're going to be able to move and advance, you've got to move, and you got to be willing to sacrifice, family time to do it.
One thing that always went with you were your golf clubs.
That's right. Always enjoyed taking them.
I bet.
Always did.
So your time with Porter at Little Rock, take me into those meetings and those conversations and those huddles? Because I'm sure there's some colorful commentary.
Oh, without a doubt. Well, the first thing I'll tell you, I remember when Porter called me, and I had gotten to know Porter when he was an assistant at Texas A&M with Tony Barone.
Okay.
And I would go down there and work camp. Porter ran the camp. He was the restricted earnings position at the time, and so we had become friends. So then when they leave Texas A&M, he comes up here with Wimp Sanderson. Mm-hmm. He's able to stay with Sidney, and then when Sidney had left and gone to the Mavericks, Porter called me and said, "Hey, would you have interest in coming up here? I think I've got a chance to get this job." And first thing I said was, "Porter, no way. I mean, you're not getting that job off of a 4 or 5 win team
right.
the previous year." And he said, "No, really, I think I got a chance." Okay, great. Best of luck to you. Let me know.
Let me know.
About a week later, he calls.
He said, "I got the job.
I got the job. You want to come up here?" And I said, "Yeah, let's go." And so came up here. There was no better guy for the job than Porter Moser when you think about the energy he brings to the table. To take a team that had struggled the year before, winning 4 games, and to completely change the mindset. Mm-hmm. And I remember we had a theme that year that was find a way. And his energy of never say die. We won 18 games that first year, 18 the second year, 18 the third year, and he got the Illinois State job. But Porter's my son Hayden's godfather.
Yeah, right.
And he's been wonderful.
He told me that if he had to do it all over again, he wouldn't have left Little Rock to go to Illinois State. He was trying to climb the ladder, I believe, too quick.
Yeah. And well, you think about, I mean, Porter was the youngest Division I head coach in the country when he got the job. If I'm not mistaken, he was 27, 28.
He was young.
Just full of energy and passion.
And still is today.
Same thing you see now.
Yeah.
That's exactly right. You think about what he did at Loyola Chicago.
He tried to get you up there, didn't he?
I went with him. I went with him for 3 months. And, and then the Mizzou deal
with Coach Anderson.
Yeah,
right.
And ended up going there. But you think about a guy who goes to Illinois State and does what he did building it. And in his last year, year 4, he had the freshman of the year coming back. He had a number of upperclassmen coming back with that.
But a new athletic director.
In the change. But then for him to go back and work with Rick Majerus at St. Louis, reinvent himself, and change the thing forever, and be able to go to Loyola Chicago, and you think about what he did there.
Took him to the Final Four.
That wasn't an overnight deal.
No.
I mean, that was something that he had built up over a 10, 11-year
And he was
period.
Back home, though, in Chicago.
That's right, being from Naperville.
Yeah,
that's exactly
huge Cub
right.
fan. I mean,
yeah.
Got to see take me out to the ball game several times up there.
Yeah.
He actually has a winning record when he does it. So,
is that right?
Yeah. He told me he had a winning record when he did it. He actually lived in Tom Ricketts' house, too, at the end of his coaching career at Loyola Chicago. Right. So he just sold it when he left to go to Oklahoma. Who are some of the better coaches that are also good golfers that you've played with?
I can't say Porter is. That's not one. But he does play.
He does
and
play.
And he can hit it. Yeah.
He does play. Does he know where
he takes a cut at it.
But he doesn't know where it's going?
He takes a cut at it. You know, I said here as we were talking about guys like Romo and guys as athletes.
Yeah.
God, I can't think. You know,
or maybe some players that you have coached that you think, yeah, I know what they're doing now, and maybe they're pretty good. I mean, when you think about golf and basketball players, when you get too tall, like a Joe Klein, who was an assistant on your staff.
Okay, now I'm going to tell you, Joe's a pretty good player. Joe, to me, and I know what you're saying with his height, but Joe's got great tempo.
Yeah.
When he's swinging the club. I mean, he doesn't – you would think a guy as big and strong and physical as Joe is would be a power player.
Right.
But, I mean, he's not. You know, he's got good tempo.
I've played with him. I like playing with Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's great. It's just I want to be in the other cart.
That's right. There's no room in it.
There's no room in this cart.
I always said when you see pictures of Joe or see him, he looks like Fred Flintstone, and taking up the whole cart. You know?
He does take up the whole cart, no doubt about that. You and him had some good times
on
the bench.
Oh, we were together 8 years, and I was fortunate to have him as an assistant with us for 8 of my 12 years as head coach at Little Rock.
I remember the funniest thing I remember about you and him on a bench happened in Hot Springs Sunbelt Conference Tournament. Little Rock's playing Arkansas State. John Brady gets a tech. He was basically trying to go after Klein.
Oh, he was so mad. And I don't remember the exact scenario, but somehow
Joe was standing up and talking.
Yeah. And there was some baiting going on.
Yeah.
Hey, John's a pretty good golfer.
Yeah.
He's not bad at all. And we had some good times playing up in Jonesboro. But, yeah, those are great memories right there.
Best golf course you've ever played, is it Augusta National? Because I hear there's a story about Augusta.
Augusta National, without a doubt for me.
Really?
Without a doubt for me.
Tell me the story about how you got to play Augusta National.
You bet. Trey, you know how certain things in your life, you remember exactly where you were?
Oh, yeah.
I remember when Joe Ford called me. I had just walked out of my office in the field house at UALR. I was
back in the day.
I mean, this is 03, 04, before we had moved into the Stevens Center. And I looked down, Joe's calling. Hey, Joe, how you doing? And this was a Thursday or Friday morning. And he said, Steve, what are you doing this weekend? I said, I don't know, Joe, what's going on? He said, do you think you can be at my hangar at 10 a.m. tomorrow morning? And I said, yeah, that'd be great. He said, bring you a sport coat, bring you a couple pair of slacks, and bring you golf clubs. And I said, Joe, do you mind me asking, where are we going? He said, don't worry about where we're going. You'll have a good time.
Yeah.
And sure enough, we did.
And you didn't worry.
No, I didn't worry at all.
So you get on the plane, you're flying with a couple of other guys that are friends of Mr. Ford, and you're in the air, and then all of a sudden you're starting to land in Augusta, Georgia.
And it's pouring down rain.
And you're thinking, oh, no.
And so me and Ed Willis look across at one another. Joe's sitting there, and he said, boys, I'm going to tell you, golf and rain don't mix for me. And I looked at Ed, and Ed looked back at me and winked. And I said, I'll play in the snow out here. I don't care. Well, long story short, we go, van picks us up. We go check into the cottage and end up getting out there, and late in the afternoon, the rain lets up. And Joe said, y'all want to go play 9? We can kind of slop around. So we go over there and go play 9, come back, get cleaned up, and go eat and do the whole, go down in the wine cellar. Just an unbelievable experience. Go to the champions locker room and get to see that, take pictures everywhere. And it was wonderful. At the time, Joe was the chairman of
Vice
Augusta.
Chairman, yeah.
Yeah, so he sat in the corner with his back at dinner, facing everybody coming in. And later that night, I remember it like it was yesterday, Trey, Ryan Newman was driving Joe's car,
right,
the Alltel car. And we went back to the cabin, and he ended up, Ryan Newman won the race, and Joe was beside himself that
I could
night.
imagine.
It was such a great weekend. Then
that
Sunday,
investment paying off for that advertising of having Alltel on that NASCAR that Ryan Newman was driving. I mean, and then it wins the race.
Wins it that night. And this was, I remember the weekend that we went to Augusta was the last weekend it was open, sometime in mid-May.
Yeah.
And then it turned out beautiful on Sunday. We played 27 holes.
What'd you shoot?
Oh, I don't remember.
Wait. You remember where you were when you got the phone call, but you can't remember what you shot at Augusta?
I did break 80. I will say that.
Well, that's pretty good.
But we got to play up tees.
Member tees.
Yeah, but it was unbelievable.
Was it everything you thought it would be?
The greens were so much more hilly than what I thought from watching on TV.
Right.
And but the beauty of everything. I mean,
I got to go for a practice round in 2013, Coach, and television does not do it justice.
No, you're right.
Of how hilly the place is.
The whole course. Yeah. I mean, I talked about the greens, but everything out there. Yeah.
All right. Fantasy foursome. You and 3 other guys, living or deceased, around a golf at any place you want to play. Who is it?
Tom Landry, Mickey Mantle, and probably Gerald Ford, President Ford.
Wow.
You know, I'm going to say Mickey Mantle and President Ford because of hearing my dad talk about him.
Right.
You know, Mickey Mantle was a member there at Preston Trail, and first time I saw my dad cry was when Mickey Mantle passed away.
Yeah.
And just because there are only 250 members.
Right, and I'm sure you could have some conversations with Mickey Mantle about your father.
Absolutely.
And he could tell you stories that you've never heard.
Absolutely. I mean, I remember, hearing my dad talk about how Mickey had come out there and go to the driving range in his underwear and hit range balls. All men's club.
Yeah.
Can do what they want out there.
Pretty much.
And then, having the picture of my dad giving the lesson to President Ford and all that, I just like to pick both those guys.
And then Tom
Landry. I grew up in Dallas. Was born there
Cowboy
before
fan.
moving. Cowboy fan forever.
Yeah.
And he was the guy, when I remember how crushed I was when Jerry Jones fired him.
Yeah.
Thinking,
but then he brought in some Super Bowls.
Oh my gosh, bringing in Jimmy Johnson
But they need to get back there, Coach.
I know.
I appreciate you for taking some time out of your busy day. I know you're busy.
Trey, thanks.
I'm surprised you're not on
man.
the golf course.
Well, may get out there this afternoon.
Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels, one of our great sponsors of From the Shortgrass, 20 locations in their footprint, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Mississippi. Go to the website, bphotels.com, to find a property that will be next to your next destination where you might need an overnight stay. Beechwood Pinnacle Hotels. We're back with Adam Carney after this.
With all the decisions you need to make about what to do in El Dorado, finding a place to stay is an easy one. The Haywood is uniquely positioned to make your stay one to treasure. Located in the historic Union Square district of El Dorado, the Haywood offers luxurious accommodations that feature contemporary, colorful rooms with high-quality bedding, comfortable baths with walk-in showers, and a spacious workspace with stylish plantation shutters that are unique additions to the stunning decor in a non-smoking environment. Make the Haywood your home away from home the next time you visit El Dorado.
This is Thomas Blackman with Blackman Auctions. Me sponsoring a golf show is great irony. I've been a phenomenally bad golfer for 30 years. I don't know the difference between a penalty area and a bunker. I like it, but I'm really bad. You listen to this show and to Trey because he's a great golfer and knows the game backwards and forwards. I know auctions like Trey knows golf. I've been a professional auctioneer for 30 years. I know auctions. Trey knows golf. Listen to the correct expert. Call me to learn about auctions, not Trey. Since 1938, Better Auctions are Blackman Auctions.
At Stevens, our philosophy is to invest every dollar as if it were our own, to seize opportunity, to anticipate rather than react, to deliver constant focus in an ever-changing world, and to pursue the objectives of our clients in order to help them reach their financial goals. A proven history of helping companies and individuals. Stevens, member NYSE SIPC. Welcome back to From the Shortgrass. On the tee with our weekly rules segment, here's PGA Master Professional Adam Carney.
Adam, this email comes in from Angie in North Little Rock, and she asks, when is it okay to use a rangefinder on the golf course?
Well, if you're playing in competition, again, assuming competition, that would be in the conditions of competition. Notice competitors would tell you if it's okay to use distance measuring devices. And it's really that simple. If it's not on a notice to competitors or your conditions of competition, then it's assumed that it's not okay to use them. I think pretty much club level, everybody has now gotten to the point where they are allowing them. The PGA Championship now, one of the four majors, as of last year, I think it was the first year, now allow distance measuring devices to be used. And primarily, I think it's done for pace of play. The tour, for whatever reason, has not adopted it as a condition of competition to allow players to do it. I think eventually you're going to see that the tour will adopt it, and once the tour does, then that's how things become rules instead of conditions that can be added. These younger players have been using distance measuring devices since they were 6-7 years old, whether it be through practice or playing, that eventually the yardage book and finding sprinkler heads and pacing off has become antiquated, and they are going to go ahead and allow it. But to answer the question that Angie asked, it's simple. If you're just out playing golf, no problem. If you're playing in a competition, look at the local rule sheet, conditions of competition. If it's not on there, but you think maybe it should be, or they may have omitted it, ask whoever's running the tournament and say, hey, are we allowed to use distance measuring devices in this competition? And it's that simple.
Angie, thanks for the question. If you've got a question on the rules of golf, shoot us an email from theshortgrass@gmail.com.
That will do it for this edition of From the Shortgrass. I leave you with these Masters quotes. First from Ben Hogan. Then last year's champion serves as the host. He chooses the menu and picks up the tab. When I discovered the cost of the dinner was more than the prize money, I finished second 4 times. How about this from Fuzzy Zeller? I've never been to heaven, and thinking back on my life, I probably won't get a chance to go. I guess winning the Masters is as close as I'm going to get. And this from Gary Player. If there's a golf course in heaven, I hope it's like Augusta. I just don't want an early tee time. I hope your next round of golf is a good one. And when you find your ball mark on the green, fix it and a couple of more. And I'll see you from the Shortgrass.
You've been listening to From the Shortgrass, a weekly podcast dedicated to the game of golf. This has been a presentation of the Buzz Radio Network.